What if I told you Kada Scott's murder wasn't random? What if Keon King, the man they arrested, was just the muscle? So listen, Keon just got charged with unaliving 23-year-old Kada. Murder, kidnapping, arson, conspiracy. But here's what's got me messed up. Investigators got video showing multiple people helped bury her body. And now people saying Keon might have been hired. But while everybody's focused on Keon, there's a whole nother person nobody's looking at. Kada's boyfriend, Taz. Real name Ramir. And girl, when you hear what Nicole dug up, a landscaping business, a criminal record with assault and conspiracy charges, and he lives in the same direction they walked after killing Kada. So did Keon act alone? Or did somebody pay him? Is Taz the one who should really be in cuffs? Like, make it make sense. Because period, somebody's lying and somebody's still walking free. Kada Scott was 23 years old. She lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and worked at a nursing home not too far from where she stayed. October 4th started like any other day for her. Her mama saw her that morning before she left for work. Nobody knew that would be the last time she'd see her daughter alive. That evening, Kada clocked in at the nursing home. She showed up for her shift like she was supposed to, but something happened. Something that made her leave before her shift was even done. And that's where everything starts to unravel. Now, in the days leading up to October 4th, Kada had been telling her family and her friends that somebody was harassing her, blowing up her phone, making her uncomfortable. Her loved ones knew something was off, but they didn't know how bad it was about to get. Let's talk about the men in Kada's life, because this is where it gets messy. First, there's Keon King. He went by the nickname Kel, and based on the messages between them, Kada knew him well enough to use that name. They had some type of relationship, whether it was romantic, friendly, or something else, we don't know for sure. But what we do know is that Keon called Kada 12 times on October 4th. 12 times. That's not casual. That's somebody who wants something. Then there's Taz, Kada's boyfriend. His government name is Ramir. And according to what he told police, the last time he communicated with Kada was right before she went missing. Convenient, right? But let me tell you something. Nicole did some digging on this man, and what she found, it's concerning.
In reference to the Kada Scott case, I have the full documentation for the probable cause affidavit. What I want to discuss today is the data on her devices and when they last pinged and when they were last seen, as well as dig into it and give y'all a visual. Let's dive. For y'all to look at what was said in the affidavit, it says iPad last seen or pinged at 10:21 p.m. near 6845 Anderson Street. iPhone last seen 10:4 at 10:24 near 6921 Anderson Street. And then the iWatch was last seen 10:5, 1:14 a.m. at Albury. Let me give y'all a visual. So first, from those two pings, from the iPad and the iPhone, it is a 1 minute drive. 1 minute drive time. From the location of the iPad at 10:21 to the iPhone at 10:24, that is 3 minutes. That means there was some type of struggle going on inside that vehicle for them to take 3 minutes to get from point A to point B. Now, I know they said that Kada Scott possibly was unalived around that time. So I think, and this is my opinion, Kada Scott was unalived right before 10:21 or right at that time. Now with the iWatch last seen at 1:14 a.m. going into October 5th, that makes me believe that they did not know or realize that Kada had a watch on based off the position of her body in that vehicle. Therefore, right here, it says this placed her watch stationary at the rec center lot after the suspect phone left the area. So they left with her devices, but that watch stayed in one place. Stay tuned for more digging. Y'all, I learned something last night in regards to the Kada Scott case that involves Keon King. Let's not forget Gabby. Gabby is the friend of Keon King. Y'all remember Gabby has a best friend, D? The one that was stalking Kada? Made the whole video of where she lived, where she walked, which headphones she wore. She was walking her dog, what street she lived off of. Yeah, her. Well, Gabby and D are on the same case. They are co-defendants of the same case back towards the middle of this year. Those charges right here. They include some of which conspiracy, simple assault, terroristic threats, recklessly endangering another person, aggravated assault. Y'all remember this case of Keon King, who got dropped and just reopened, and it was dropped due to the victim not showing up? Well, a little birdie told me Keon King paid those two girls, Gabby and D, to assault the victim. Therefore, she was terrified to go to court. Now, it sounds pretty real to me. I don't know about y'all. Don't count me on it. I don't know if that's factual, but I think it's a huge coincidence that those two girls got the same charges at that same time. And then his case got dropped. This case is just getting even more wild. Y'all, let's talk Kada Scott. This is the 23-year-old in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who was missing and later found deceased in a fresh, shallow grave. Now, we know that Kada had this boyfriend, or this guy that she was dating, by the name of Taz. That's what he said he went by. Well, let's dig into it. This is Taz's Instagram account, okay? You'll see up here that he has a business page, a landscaping company. Let's look. He has this landscaping company here, okay? I want y'all to remember landscaping. And on the landscaping company page, it shows his name, or a name to contact by the name of Ramir. Well, I found Ramir, and Ramir has a record. Not only does he have a record, but he has a record that is very similar to Keon. That record shows simple assault, conspiracy to simple assault, conspiracy to aggravated assault, attempts to cause serious bodily injury or causes injury with extreme indifference, possession of instrument of crime with intent, and disorderly conduct hazardous. Now, this man also violated his probation multiple times. He had got probation for these charges and other charges with basically changing the serial number on a gun multiple times, also unauthorized use of a vehicle, and his latest one was driving without license. He had got probation for some charges. He violated his probation multiple times. He then was sentenced to incarceration for, I believe, minimum of 2 years. This right here shows Ramir was once in the system for either possibly probation or actually in the prison system. Now, he stated the last communication that he had with her was possibly right before she went missing. I don't know if y'all believe that, but let me not forget to tell y'all. The area and the direction that the person walked off going north, going up past Ada Lewis whenever they first unalived Kada Scott, that's the same direction Ramir lives. Stay tuned for more information. The details keep coming in on the case of Kada Scott and suspect 21-year-old Keon King. Court just got done a few hours ago in regards to Keon King's arraignment for his murder charge in connection with Kada Scott. Keon King is also facing multiple other charges in connection to Kada Scott's disappearance and murder. The homicide charges come from the medical examiner did take the stand today, stating that her cause of death and manner of death is homicide by gunshot wound to the head. Now, court documents do state that video surveillance shows only one person leaving the vehicle at the scene within 20 to 30 minutes of her last seen whereabouts. That person is said to be Keon King. Y'all, details are coming in fast and quick. Please keep her family in your prayers and stay tuned for more details. Y'all, I have more people to talk about in regards to the case of Kada Scott. Now, we know that one person is only arrested right now. That is Keon King. He is charged with her murder and multiple other things, including kidnapping, arson, and conspiracy. Let's talk about her. This is Larisha Lopez. This is the one that lived at the house on Belmar Terrace, as well with Meline Brown. Those two people are connected to the Text Now account. Larisha was interrogated, as well as she was the individual that was with Keon King the day that he got pulled over on October 1st or 2nd. One of those days. I can't remember which day exactly. Well, do y'all remember Keon King's car being on Marketplace? This car right here. Look right here. Look in this window reflection. You see boots, black boots? This is from Lopez's Facebook account. Those black boots right down there, they look familiar. They look like the same boots that are inside that Marketplace picture reflection. Now, during her interrogation, there was a lot of things that didn't add up. She's the one that also denied Meline giving that Text Now, the phone that was linked to that Text Now account, to her, to the police, but Meline said different. Stay tuned for more information.
Now, for the very first time, we are hearing from Keon King's lawyer. King is the man accused of killing 23-year-old Kada Scott and burying her in a shallow grave in the woods behind Ada Lewis Middle School. Tonight, the community is coming together to honor Scott again, whose remains were discovered last week. Jen?
Dawn, the community started gathering about half an hour ago here at Ada Lewis Middle School. You can hear some loud music here. There is a DJ for this event, and people were asked to bring blue or brown balloons in honor of Kada Scott. Now, you mentioned Keon King's lawyer, Shaka Johnson. He has been facing criticism in recent days for representing King. He went on a radio interview today to defend himself.
Online petitions to have me removed from the case because they don't want me representing this gentleman.
Criminal defense lawyer Shaka Johnson spoke with WDAS-FM host Frankie Darcell this afternoon on the Kada Scott case. He's representing the accused, Keon King.
I listen for God's voice when I am deciding whether to take a case. Is that what you did here? Most definitely.
King, only 21 years old, was previously in trouble with the law and now faces a long list of charges, including murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, abuse of corpse, and tampering with evidence.
But as a black man, you took this case.
Yes.
And there are people who are angry or salty or disappointed about that. What do you say to that?
When it's a black man, when it's a black attorney, and I'm speaking for a lot of black attorneys who may not be saying this publicly, but they've been all on my phone privately. We are held to a different standard for whatever reason. I'm a professional. I took an oath. Just like doctors take a Hippocratic oath, I took an oath to represent the people that are in my wheelhouse of business.
Kada Scott was last seen the night of October 4th at her job, the Terrace at Chestnut Hill Senior Living. Court documents say the 23-year-old was texting with King moments before she disappeared. And surveillance video at the Aubrey Rec Center captured King's gold Toyota Camry and two people carrying a heavy object consistent with a human body. Police recovered Scott's remains October 18th in the woods behind the former Ada Lewis Middle School, where a memorial has been growing ever since.
Just shows the impact that she had on people's lives when she was living. as she was going through her journey. It's just sad to see that her journey was cut short the way that it has been, and by another young person.
King was arraigned this week on the new charges, including murder, and is being held without bail.
Hopefully he's man enough to accept his own actions and stand up and not have to put the family through any more additional pain.
This is not about money. This is not about money. I've been getting points a long time. This is not about money, okay? I'm just gonna be very frank about it. This is not about clout chasing or needing to somehow be in the public eye with the high profile case.
And we do want to point out we put in requests to Shaka Johnson for an interview as well and are still waiting for a response on that. Now, Kada Scott's family did set up a memorial and justice fund on GoFundMe, and it is over $23,000 and counting. Certainly a lot of community members sympathizing and sending their condolences to the family. As you see, a lot of them are now gathered over there to get this event underway. We're expecting it to wrap up around 6:30, so we'll have another live look for you coming up in about 1 hour. Jason?
All right, Jen Lee, great reporting on this. You've been on this story all week for us. Continue.
Taz runs
work.
a landscaping company. Now, I want you to keep that word in your head, landscaping. Because when you think about landscaping, you think about digging, moving dirt, burying things. You see where I'm going with this? On his business page, his name is listed as Ramir. And when Nicole looked into Ramir's background, she found a whole rap sheet. We talking simple assault, conspiracy to commit simple assault, conspiracy to commit aggravated assault with attempts to cause serious bodily injury, possession of an instrument of crime with intent, disorderly conduct. And that's just scratching the surface. This man also had charges for changing serial numbers on guns, multiple times, unauthorized use of a vehicle, driving without a license. He violated his probation so many times that eventually they locked him up. Minimum 2 years of incarceration. So let me get this straight. Kada's boyfriend has a history of violence, conspiracy, weapons, and he's out here running a business that requires digging equipment. And nobody's asking questions? Oh, so now we just gonna act like that's normal? But here's what really got Nicole's attention. When Kada's body was found, investigators said the person who walked away from the scene was heading north, up past Ada Lewis Middle School. You know where Ramir lives? In that same direction. North. Same area. Like, are we supposed to ignore that? October 4th. Let's walk through what happened that day, because the timeline tells a story all by itself. Kada got to work that evening, but she didn't stay. One of her co-workers noticed she was on her phone and she looked upset. Real upset. The co-worker heard Kada say something that stuck with them. "I can't believe you're calling me about this." Who was she talking to? Was it Keon? Was it Taz? We don't know for sure, but whoever it was had Kada agitated enough to leave work early. The coworker saw her walk toward a dark-colored car in the parking lot. And that was the last time anyone from that job saw Kada Scott alive. Now, let's talk about those text messages, because they tell us a lot. At 10:07 p.m. on October 4th, Kada sent a message to Keon's phone. The message said, "Kidding me again." Pause. Read that again. Kidding me again. Like, what does that even mean? Was it playful? Was it code for something? Or was it literal? Because if it's literal, that means Keon had kidnapped Kada before. And if that's the case, why didn't she report it? Why did she still communicate with him? Investigators said they have no prior police reports of any incidents between Kada and Keon, so the context of this message is still a mystery. But it's given red flags all over the place. 2 minutes later, at 10:09 p.m., Kada sent another text. This one just said, "See him." Investigators confirmed that means, "Call me." That was her last message, her last communication with anyone. At 10:15 p.m., cell phone data placed Kada's phone and Keon's phone together. They were near her workplace. They were in the same location. And in the 9 minutes between 10:15 p.m. and 10:24 p.m., Kada Scott was shot in the head. 9 minutes. That's all it took for someone to end her life. At 10:24 p.m., Kada's phone went silent. No more calls, no more texts, no more pings. That phone went dark, and that's when the cover-up began. Now, Nicole broke down the device data from the probable cause affidavit, and this is where things get even more specific. Kada had 3 devices on her: an iPad, an iPhone, and an iWatch. Let's look at when each of them stopped communicating. The iPad last pinged at 10:21 p.m. near 6845 Anderson Street. The iPhone last pinged at 10:24 p.m. near 6921 Anderson Street. The iWatch? That didn't go silent until 1:14 a.m. on October 5th, and it pinged at Albury Road, right at the rec center parking lot. Here's what Nicole pointed out, and I think she's right. From the iPad location to the iPhone location is only a 1-minute drive. But it took 3 minutes for those devices to move from point A to point B. 3 minutes for a 1-minute drive. That means there was a struggle. Kada was fighting for her life in that vehicle. Nicole believes Kada was killed right around 10:21 p.m., right when that iPad stopped. And based on the way her body was positioned in that car, the people who did this didn't realize she had a watch on. That's why the iWatch stayed stationary at the rec center lot even after Keon's phone and whoever else was with him left the area. They took her iPhone, they took her iPad, but that watch stayed put and kept pinging, giving investigators the exact location of where Kada's body was. So now we got Keon's phone data showing he was with Kada when she died. We got surveillance footage that we about to get into. And we got a boyfriend with a violent criminal history who just so happens to live in the same direction the suspect walked after dumping Kada's body. But hold up, because this story gets worse. October 4th, 10:28 p.m. 4 minutes after Kada's phone went dark, surveillance cameras caught something. A black Hyundai Accent pulling into the parking lot of the Albury Recreation Center. This lot sits right next to the abandoned Ada Lewis Middle School. And that car, it stayed there. For over 36 hours, that vehicle just sat in that parking lot. Now, this wasn't Keon's car. Keon drove a 1999 metallic gold Toyota Camry with Pennsylvania license plate MSXZZ797. So where did this black Hyundai come from? Investigators found out real quick it was stolen, and whoever stole it knew exactly what they were doing, because they used it to transport Kada's body. Cell phone data showed that Keon's phone was moving back and forth all night, back and forth between that parking lot and an address at 5500 Belmar Terrace in Southwest Philadelphia. That's the house where 2 women lived with Keon, Larisha Lopez and Meline Brown. We gonna get into them in a minute, but just know their names are all over this case. So Kada is gone. Her phone is off. Her body is in that stolen Hyundai, just sitting in a parking lot for a day and a half. And Keon? He's moving like everything is normal, going back and forth from his house to the crime scene like he's running errands. But he wasn't done yet, because on October 5th, he came back, and this time, he brought help. October 5th, 11:39 p.m. Surveillance footage captured a gold Toyota Camry, Keon's car, pulling into that same rec center parking lot. 2 people got out of the car. The driver stayed behind the wheel and left. Those 2 people who got out, they waited. For 4 hours, they just stood there in that parking lot, waiting for something. Then at 3:56 a.m. on October 6th, they made their move. The cameras caught them walking over to the black Hyundai. They opened it up, and then they lifted something out, something heavy, something consistent with a human body. They carried it across the lot, into the wooded area behind that abandoned school building, and they dug a shallow grave. Right there, they buried Kada Scott. Let me tell you something. This wasn't a panicked cover-up. This was calculated. They waited 4 hours to make sure nobody was around. They brought the right tools. They knew where to dig. And when they were done, they walked away like nothing happened. But Keon still had one more thing to clean up. That stolen black Hyundai. On October 7th, investigators found that car. And it was torched, completely set on fire in an attempt to destroy any forensic evidence inside. He thought burning that car would erase everything. But what Keon didn't count on was that cameras had been watching him the entire time. Investigators pulled that surveillance footage, and it showed everything. It showed the black Hyundai arriving at the rec center. It showed Keon's gold Camry coming back the next night. It showed those 2 people carrying Kada's body into the woods. And it showed Keon's phone traveling back and forth between the crime scene and 5500 Belmar Terrace. So now the question is, who were those 2 people who helped him bury her body? Because Keon didn't do this alone. We know at least 3 other people were involved. 2 people got out of that car and buried Kada. 1 person drove away. And then there's the 2 women who lived with Keon at Belmar Terrace. Let's talk about them. Larisha Lopez and Meline Brown. Both of them lived at 5500 Belmar Terrace with Keon King. Both of them were questioned by investigators. And both of them are connected to something called a Tax Now account, which is important because it shows financial ties between them and Keon. Meline Brown is the other woman who lived at that house. She told police that she gave her phone linked to that Tax Now account to Larisha. But when investigators asked Larisha about it, she denied it. Somebody's lying, and when people lie to the police in a murder investigation, that makes them look guilty. Investigators searched the house at Belmar Terrace. They found ammunition, contractor bags, gloves, all the things you would need to move and bury a body. So were Larisha and Meline involved in the actual murder? Or did they just help clean up afterward? We don't know yet, but their names keep coming up, and that's not a coincidence. Now, there's another person who keeps getting mentioned online, and her name is Gabby. Gabby is somebody the internet will not let go. And honestly, I understand why. So here's what happened. After Kada went missing, Gabby posted a video on TikTok talking about the case. In that video, she said her friend told her she should go to the police with information, but she never did. When people started questioning her involvement and asking why she didn't report what she knew, Gabby deleted the video. Then she deleted her entire TikTok account. But the internet don't forget. People had already screen recorded that video, and it started making rounds. And the more people looked into Gabby, the more suspicious she seemed. Eventually, Gabby came back and posted another video trying to explain herself. She said she didn't know Kada personally. She only knew Kada's younger sister because they were neighbors growing up, but they grew apart when Gabby was around 11 or 12 years old. According to Gabby, she and Kada had exchanged maybe 6 words their entire lives. They weren't friends, they were just neighbors. Gabby also said she and Keon were friends before all this happened, and she had no idea about his past behavior. She said that before Kada went missing, Keon called her to ask if she knew Kada because he noticed Kada lived close to her. Gabby told him she knew who Kada was, but not personally. She said the call didn't seem unusual because Keon would often call her to talk about girls, and their whole conversation lasted only 29 seconds. She also explained why she didn't go to the police. She said Keon had already turned himself in, so, in her opinion, there wasn't much to tell. It was just a brief 30-second phone call where he asked if she knew Kada. She went on to say that where she's from, people don't typically speak to the police. That's just how she was raised. Now look, I get it. In certain communities, talking to the cops is not the move. People don't trust law enforcement, and there's valid reasons for that. But here's where people have a problem with Gabby's story. If that phone call was so innocent, why does it sound so premeditated? Keon called her specifically to ask about Kada right before Kada went missing. That's not a casual conversation about girls. That sounds like he was scoping out information. And if Gabby really didn't think it was a big deal, why did she make a whole video about it in the first place? Why bring it up at all if there's nothing to tell? And then there's the contradictions. Gabby said in the comments that her best friend made everything up. But that same best friend was apparently the one telling her from day one to go to the cops. So which one is it? Is her friend lying, or is Gabby trying to distance herself now that people are asking questions? Oh, and here's the kicker. People started digging into Gabby's background, and guess what they found? Homegirl has been arrested before, harassment charges, and related offenses. So now people are asking, exactly how involved was she with this case? Did she just give Keon information, or was she part of the plan? We don't know yet. But the fact that she deleted her account and then came back with a whole explanation video, that tells me she knows people are watching. And maybe she should be worried. Now, before we get into the boyfriend and this whole hired hit theory, we need to talk about Keon King's history. Because this wasn't his first time doing something like this. Earlier in 2024, the same year Kada was murdered, Keon was arrested for kidnapping. Let that sink in. He was accused of kidnapping a woman from in front of her house, forcing her into a car, and eventually letting her go. This man literally grabbed somebody off the street and threw them in a vehicle. He got charged. But here's the thing. He posted $200,000 bail and was released. $200,000. Somebody had that kind of money to get him out. And when it came time for court, the woman and the witness didn't show up, so the charges got dropped. Now, I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I don't know if that woman was scared, if she was paid off, or if she just didn't want to relive the trauma. But what I do know is that Keon walked free. And months later, Kada Scott sent him a text that said, "Kidding me again." So was Kada joking? Or had Keon done this to her before too? Because if he had a history of kidnapping women and getting away with it, that makes this whole case even darker. It means Keon knew he could get away with it. It means he'd done it before and faced no consequences. And if that's true, then maybe Keon wasn't just some random guy Kada knew. Maybe he was someone who had power over her. Someone who had hurt her before and knew she wouldn't report it. But here's where it gets even messier. Because while Keon is sitting in jail right now, there's another man walking around free. And that man had just as much reason, if not more, to want Kada gone. Let's get back to Taz. Real name Ramir, Kada's boyfriend, the man who supposedly loved her. According to Ramir, the last time he spoke to Kada was right before she went missing. Just casual conversation, nothing suspicious. But let me walk you through why that statement don't sit right. First, let's talk about his business. Ramir runs a landscaping company. And like I said earlier, landscaping means digging, moving dirt, burying things. When Kada's body was found, she was in a shallow grave. Somebody had to dig that grave. Somebody had to know how to move earth without drawing attention. And Ramir? He does that for a living. Now, I'm not saying every landscaper is out here burying bodies, but when you combine that job with everything else, it starts to look real funny. Let's talk about his criminal record because this is where it gets scary. Ramir has been charged with simple assault, conspiracy to commit simple assault, conspiracy to commit aggravated assault with attempts to cause serious bodily injury. That means he didn't just hurt people, he planned to hurt people. He conspired with others to cause harm. That's premeditation. That's the same type of planning it would take to hire someone to kill your girlfriend. He also got charged with possession of an instrument of crime with intent. That means he had a weapon and he intended to use it. He got charged with disorderly conduct. He got charged multiple times for changing serial numbers on guns. That's federal level stuff. You don't just accidentally file off a serial number. You do that when you're trying to make sure a gun can't be traced back to you. He also got hit with unauthorized use of a vehicle and driving without a license. And when he violated his probation multiple times, they finally locked him up. Minimum 2 years. So this man has a history of violence, weapons, conspiracy, and violating the rules even when he's supposed to be on his best behavior. And we supposed to believe he had nothing to do with Kada's death? Like, make it make sense. But here's the part that really got Nicole's attention, and honestly, it got mine too. When investigators found Kada's body at the rec center, they said the person who walked away from the scene was heading north, up past Ada Lewis Middle School. Ramir lives in that same area, north of the rec center, same direction. So let me get this straight. Kada gets killed near her job. Her body gets moved to a rec center. Somebody buries her in a shallow grave. And then that person walks north, right toward where Ramir lives. And nobody's asking questions about that? Oh, so now we just gonna act like that's a coincidence? Here's where everything starts to come together. And this is just a theory, but when you lay out all the facts, it's hard to ignore. What if Keon didn't act alone? What if he was hired? Think about it. Keon called Kada 12 times on October 4th. He knew her well enough that she used his nickname. They had some type of relationship, but what if that relationship wasn't romantic? What if Keon was just the person who could get close to her? Kada had a boyfriend, Ramir. And based on his criminal history, Ramir knows how to conspire. He's been charged with conspiracy to commit assault before. So if Ramir wanted Kada gone, he couldn't just do it himself. That would be too obvious. He'd be the first person police would look at. But if he hired someone else to do it, someone Kada trusted enough to meet up with, that's the perfect setup. And here's the thing. Keon had money. He posted $200,000 bail earlier that same year. Where did that money come from? Did somebody pay him? Did somebody have that kind of cash to throw around? Let's also talk about the people who helped Keon bury Kada's body. 2 people got out of that gold Camry and carried her body into the woods. 1 person drove away. That's at least 3 other people involved. You don't get that many people to help you cover up a murder unless there's money involved, or unless somebody with power told them to do it. And then there's the fact that Ramir lives in the same direction the suspect walked after leaving the crime scene. If Keon was working for Ramir, it would make sense for him to head back in that direction after the job was done. Maybe to collect payment, maybe to report that it was finished. Now, I'm not saying this is definitely what happened, but when you look at the evidence, it's hard to ignore the pattern. Keon had the relationship with Kada. Ramir had the motive. Keon had the criminal history of violence. Ramir had the criminal history of conspiracy. Keon's phone was at the crime scene. Ramir lives near the crime scene. So what are we really looking at here? A crime of passion or a calculated hit? Because period, if this was a hired job, then Keon sitting in jail right now is just the fall guy. The real person who wanted Kada dead is still out there, still walking around, still living his life like nothing happened. And that's what bothers me the most. Because if Ramir had something to do with this, he's been playing the grieving boyfriend this whole time, acting like he lost the love of his life. When really, he might be the one who took her away. There's still so much we don't know. And until investigators dig deeper, we might never get the full truth. Who were the 2 people who helped Keon bury Kada's body? Were they Larisha and Meline? Were they people connected to Ramir? Or were they just random people Keon paid to help him? What was Gabby's real involvement? Did she just give Keon information, or was she part of the plan? And why did she delete her TikTok account if she had nothing to hide? What about that text message Kada sent? Kidding me again. Had Keon kidnapped her before? And if so, why didn't she report it? Was she scared? Was she being threatened? And the biggest question of all, was Ramir involved? Did he hire Keon to kill Kada? Or is this all just a coincidence? Because let me tell you something, I don't believe in coincidences, not when it comes to murder. Kada Scott was 23 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. She was working, taking care of herself, just trying to live, and somebody took that away from her. Whether it was Keon acting alone, or whether he was hired by someone else, the truth is that Kada is gone, and her family has to live with that every single day. But here's what I hope comes out of this case. I hope investigators keep digging. I hope they don't just stop at Keon. Because if there are other people involved, they need to be held accountable too. Every single person who helped plan this, who helped bury her body, who helped cover it up, they all need to face justice. And if Ramir had anything to do with this, if he really did hire Keon to kill the woman he claimed to love, then I hope the truth comes out. Because Kada deserves that. Her family deserves that. This case isn't over. There are still too many unanswered questions. Too many people who haven't been charged. Too many dots that haven't been connected yet. But one thing is clear. Kada Scott did not die alone in that car. Multiple people were involved in her death. And until every single one of them is behind bars, justice has not been served. So I'm asking y'all, what do you think? Do you believe Keon acted alone? Or do you think this was a hired hit? Do you think Ramir should be investigated? Do you think Gabby knows more than she's saying? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because this case is far from over, and the more people talk about it, the harder it is for the truth to stay hidden. Rest in peace, Kada Scott. We won't stop fighting for you.